Hey, everybody, welcome. Welcome to our session today. I'm very excited to have these amazing women with me here today because you're going to hear directly from them what it's like to be a virtual assistant, what it's like to, to be able to make your own money and set your own hours and to live the life that you want. And they're each very different in their own way, where they are in their journey, where they started out. And so I'd like to welcome you to this special panel. And please definitely put questions in. We would love to have your questions along the way. So why don't we go around and each one of you can introduce yourself. I'll call on you and just tell us a little bit about, your story and where you were when you started out and what does life look like now? What are the big differences for you? So Angela, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, I am Angela, and I started with Belinda and the VA school when I was already a VA. And so I had been a VA for a few years and really, had a few clients that wasn't going anywhere. And once I got through the VA school and learned the things that I learned, I now I'm billing 20 to 30 hours per week because it does ebb and flow week by week. But people know what I'm doing. I'm writing my newsletter. People know, people from much further away from me know what I do, and I'm being referred. I have a new referral almost weekly, and it's really grown. So that's where I am now.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Maritza, why don't you jump in?
Hi, my name is Maritza Dominguez. I'm a virtual assistant now. Before this, I am still also working a full-time job, and the reason that I wanted to become a virtual assistant is because my husband and I are starting a farm and a ministry 7 hours away from where I live, and I need the flexibility to drive back and forth. And found Belinda 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, in 2020, and was too scared to jump in back then. But now, this past year in 2023, I felt like it's time to jump in, and I was terrified. And I'm pretty sure that I waited until the week after the Kickstart to join. So I'm right where you guys are at right now. And so I completely understand the risk and the fear of jumping in and spending the amount of money it costs. But I can tell you today that it's worth more than what it costs to join this program. It's so worth it. I'm still working a full-time job because I'm about to buy a house, so I need the job stability, the bank to look at the house and the job and all of that. But as soon as I do that, I'm going to go full time into the VA business, and I'm very excited. I can't wait.
That's awesome. Charmaine, why don't you jump in?
Hello, everyone. I am Shemaine Brown, and before I actually became a virtual assistant, I was working full time as a retail store manager. And I always had the thought behind in my mind of becoming a virtual assistant. I actually started following Belinda back in 2019, and I signed up for your newsletter, I think, in 2020. So that's how long I was thinking about becoming a virtual assistant, but I wanted to make sure that it was the right choice for me because it's very scary. You don't know what to expect. So I took my time making that decision, and I'm glad I did. But I was very sure after I signed up for Belinda's newsletter that that was the direction I wanted to go. Why?
Mhm.
Because she was consistent
Mm-hmm.
and she provided a lot of information in those newsletters for me, right? So that's what helped me to make my decision in becoming a virtual assistant.
Mhm. That's awesome.
Yep.
Good. All right, Amy.
I'm Amy and I live in Texas. And I'll go back to after college, I worked in corporate for a few years in the high tech industry. And then after that, I was a stay at home mom for 24 years and very, very active volunteer. And once our son was in college, I wanted to go back to work, but I did not want to go back to corporate. I knew what kind of schedule that would have been. I did not want that as a schedule with my family. And so I started looking around and trying to decide what I wanted to do. Came across being a virtual assistant. Wasn't sure about it, but I came across Belinda on Facebook and I loved what I heard. It was a big step for me financially. As I said, our son's in college and our budget was tight, but it has been well worth the investment. The community, Belinda, all the help we get, the system that works, it has been the best decision I've made.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Just so you know, I'm not paying them to say this.
Well,
That's awesome. I love that. So to, let's go around and you guys can just jump in. What do you most like about the VA lifestyle? Like, what's the thing that you're just like, oh, this is so good?
I'll start because I love it. I'm at home. I get to talk to people every day. And so I was a little nervous about not being around people because I'm such a people person. But I'm constantly talking with people, interacting. I'm meeting new people all the time. And I am learning that I have a lot more skills than I gave myself credit for. So as people ask me, can I? And I say yes. And I go figure out how to do that. I'm just growing, growing, growing all the time. So learning, meeting people, and really understanding my value it's just been phenomenal.
That's great. Who else wants to jump in?
I can go. I have my whole life, I have never known what I wanted to do. You know, people want to be doctors, they want to be lawyers, they want to be psychiatrists. I never knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in ministry in some way, shape, or form, but didn't know what kind of ministry. And so have always had self-esteem issues because of that my whole life. So this year or last year, when I started the VA school to learn how to start a business, I've been a secretary, administrative assistant for 30 plus years. So to learn how to start the business, realized that where I've never been entrepreneurial minded, realized that I have thoroughly enjoyed getting started with a business and never knew how much fun it was and how excited I am now to be a small business owner. And so I feel like all of these years of not knowing or not having that, you know, I want to be this, I want to be that. It was just that I didn't realize what it was that I needed or wanted to be. And now I know. So thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. That's great. That's great. Who else?
yeah, I really love being a virtual assistant from where I came from. I did not have a lot of options when it comes to choosing what time I work or choosing what days, I take a day off, right? That rarely came around from the industry that I came from. And so being able to make those choices for myself, if I want to work until midnight, that's my choice. If I only want to work 4 hours a day, that's also my choice. And so that's the empowerment that I love when it comes to being my own boss.
That's great. Amy, you want to jump in?
Sure. I love the work. I love doing something different all the time, learning new skills, learning new applications. That it's fun to me. It's a lot of fun doing what I'm doing, and I'm doing things I love. I started with things I already knew how to do, just as you recommended, and I love that part. I love the flexibility. I have older parents, and so I can take off the time I need. Like Shemaine said, I can work in the evening or on the weekend if I need to catch up. I love that part. I also love the personal and mindset growth that I've done. It has really stretched me and made me realize I can do things that I didn't think I could do. So I love that part as well.
That's great. Wow. So we have a question. And by the way, we have a lot of people watching us right now. So definitely put your questions in, big or small. This is your chance right now to hear from these four women, all the things. So please don't be shy. All right. So someone on YouTube says, one of my biggest concerns is networking because I work from home and I am fairly new to this city. No built-in community. Thoughts on this? Who would like to weigh in on that?
I would love to jump in. That it was me. I didn't even know it. So I live on an island, and I started doing this business and telling people that I knew. I've lived here 21 years. And what I discovered after doing the VA school and doing all the things that Belinda taught us was that people didn't know what I was doing. And I really thought they did. So I thought I had a community that didn't know what I did. So once I got the word out, that helped. Then I started networking, and there are amazing virtual networking groups. I'm a part of 2 network groups now that I meet with weekly, and that's been unbelievably rewarding personally, talking with people, supporting their business, but it's coming back tenfold. I'm getting more referrals. So there are plenty of networking opportunities online as well.
That's great. Who else wants to jump in on that?
I'll go. I would like to say when it comes to networking, I think a lot of us overthink it, right? And I was the same way, right? So networking, you just have to look at it as face value. It's just having a conversation with people. Don't read too deep into it. Once you do that, you start to overcomplicate everything. So I would say it's just having a conversation. Belinda always say when she goes to the grocery store, and she's talking to the cashier, she tells them about her business. Oh, I'm a virtual assistant. Or, oh, I'm so excited today because I landed a new client. I'm a virtual assistant. Simple things like that. So we don't want to overcomplicate it. Just see it as talking to your friend, your parents, your family. Just keep it simple and it's going to work out. Don't overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy what we tell ourselves in our head about that, right? Like my whole thing was, I thought anyone who I told about my business was instantly going to think I wanted something from them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want to be that person. Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want to jump in on this about your experience with networking?
I can jump in. I remember being terrified because as an introvert, which I am, I didn't want to cross, in person. I didn't want to go across the room to somebody I didn't know and just talk to them. And then found out through VA school in the study halls that there were virtual networking events. And they were kind of like speed dating a little bit, where they just put you in a breakout room with one person for like 7 minutes. And that was a lot easier, talking to somebody one-on-one. But more than that, or better than that, was that I learned through this one particular networking platform that not to even really talk about my business as much as just getting to know the person. It's called relationship marketing. And that made it so much easier. And so just talking to somebody about their life, just getting to know someone, talking about your business does end up coming up in the conversation. But usually it's not the first thing. Like, one of the things I learned was when you meet somebody for the first time, you don't, like when you go on a date, you don't ask them to marry you on the first date. You're getting to know them. And it's the same way with business. And so that was the one takeaway that like really hit home for me, and it made it so much easier. And after doing it several times, you kind of just do it. It's easy. It becomes very easy.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Amy, you want to jump in?
Sure. Like Angela, I live in a small town, so networking in person is limited here. And once I discovered the online networking, I was terrified too in the
Mhm.
beginning. But then once I realized I was just getting to know people and having conversations, making friends, and finding out more about them, it took a lot of the pressure off. And now I look forward to it and I have fun
Mhm.
doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. That's great. All right, let's look.
It is.
We have some questions coming in. So everybody pull your questions in, put your questions in the comments, because we really want to address anything that's on your mind. Oh, this is a great question. I can't see the person's name, but what was the biggest challenge or concern you had, and how did VA school help with that? That's a great question. I should write that down. Who wants to jump in, or you want to think for a minute? What was the biggest challenge or concern you had, and how did VA school help with that?
I can jump in. That one was a real easy question for me. So I mentioned that my husband and I are starting a farm and a ministry. This is not a new thing. This is something we've been talking about for at least 15 years. And for the 15 years, it was his vision and his desire to do, and he's been asking me to help him this entire time. And this entire time I have been supportive, but I have not known how to help him. I have wanted to, but didn't know what it was he needed, because as an administrative assistant, I was always told what to do. Here, do this, do that, and I would do it. And he wasn't telling me what to do. He was just asking for my help. And so when I started VA school, it was not for him. It was for me to learn how to start a business because I knew I needed to do this to be able to support him further in that, in the farm ministry venture. So about a month into it, I learned two things. I learned that it was worth every penny, and I learned exactly what I needed to do to help him start the farm and the ministry.
Mhm.
And so the biggest challenge for me was learning how to start a business, and that is exactly what I was taught. And just it was just do it. I encourage you to do it.
Good, good. All right, who else? What was your biggest challenge or concern, and how did VA school quiet the chatter around it?
Mine was the chatter. My biggest challenge was that I didn't think people would pay me more than, because again, I was a VA charging way too little. And I didn't think that I could raise my prices. I didn't think people would pay what I wanted to be making. And so even though, yeah, I think that was it. It was the chicken chatter, and it went away as soon as within I would say a week or two of being in the school, I dove into that new price, and it's just been fine ever since. So yeah, that was my challenge.
Would you mind sharing, like, you don't have to share how much you're making, but how much did you?
Sure.
How much did you?
Oh yeah,
up?
I'm an open book.
Okay, then tell us how much you were.
Yeah, so I actually had a client when I started VA school. I had a client that was paying $20 per hour, and most of my clients paid $25. At the time, I only had 3 or 4 clients, sporadically. Now I'm at $45 an hour if they purchase the 10-hour package. So 45, 55, 65, and I have about 18 clients. A couple ebb and flow, but I have a core, and I'm really happy with that price. That may not be your price point. That you may want to be much higher than that. But I always remember Belinda saying, do the work where it doesn't make you mad that you're doing it for the price that you're doing it. So I have a really unique situation, and I won't go into all the details, but that price point for me makes me really happy. So I'll be here for a while. I have no doubt I could charge more because I've got so many clients. There will come a day I'll do it, but I'm really happy where I am right now.
That's great. Yeah, one day $45 an hour is going to make you mad because you're going to have so many people who want your help, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm cool.
I might be getting close. Maybe. But I'm happy. I'm really happy right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a good wage. I mean, that's close to $100,000 a year.
I'm doing great. Yeah.
Yeah, you are doing great. You're totally doing great. I just was figuring that with someone the other day. $50 an hour, 35 hours a week is $91,000, right? So yeah, that's a living. That's a living.
Yeah.
Right. Who else wants to jump in on that?
I'll go. I would say my biggest challenge was just executing. Like, I saw the bigger picture of how my life would be and the options that I now have with becoming a virtual assistant, but just executing that and know what that structure looks like. Like, how often should I communicate with the people on my email list, right? Where it's not, where I'm becoming too annoying or a nuisance, and where they don't forget that I'm here and I exist. Like, what does that look like? So it's definitely, executing in those, little details that you have to pay attention to. Or, how much should I charge? Right? How often should I write my newsletter? Just things like that. And different templates that you offer that just makes everything easier when it comes to reaching out to your clients and handling different situations. So I think that was my biggest challenge, just executing and know what order things should go in. And now it's even simpler because, everything is there, and you took a lot of the guesswork out when it comes to execution. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's what people are paying for. Whenever I've hired a coach in the past, it's like, just tell me what to do. I'm coachable. Let's go. And you don't have to be, Googling a million things. So that's great. Amy, you want to jump in?
Sure. My mindset was the challenging part for me. The system made sense. Everything you told us made sense. And I could see others doing it, making it successful. But I had imposter syndrome. I hadn't worked a job in over 24 years, and I didn't see myself doing it. And I had a lot of things holding me back. But VA school is it helped me with that so much. Going to study hall and listening to you and everyone, so encouraging. It really helped me face those fears and that imposter syndrome. I wouldn't have been able to do it without VA school.
That's
I
awesome.
agree. And I cannot believe the amount of information and templates
Yes.
and things that you have provided, Belinda. I mean, it's really been above and beyond in my book.
Yes.
I running a business now, I think to myself, oh, she could charge for that.
That's very true. Yes, there's a plethora of information, and even more so with community of experts
The
in
community is
the
amazing.
It's
Mhm.
wonderful. Yeah.
In
That's
fact,
great.
one day I popped in to a meeting. It was so rude. I had
No,
a
I've shared this story because I think it's so great. Go ahead.
so rude. I felt terrible. I popped in on a meeting. I should have come in, sat quietly, asked my questions, stayed till the end. But I had to meet with a client and I had a question. I popped in, barged my question in, said thank you, I got to run, and I was off to a client meeting. And that is just, if that doesn't talk about the support and love from this group, I mean, it's good.
That's great. Yeah. I've told that story a couple of times when I was talking about office hours. Yeah. This is her. This is Angela. Yeah, that's great. All right. So let me go over to the comments. So one thing is, so the woman, it's I can't see her name, but that asked about the networking. She said, "Thank you. I just feel so alone because I'm not in my hometown." So thank you for that answer. All right. So let's see. All right, so this is Kathy. In regard to taking payment, how do you do this when I don't have a website yet? Do you guys all have websites?
I do now.
I know.
Okay, how do you take payment, Amy?
I'm using PayPal right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, see, when I first started, that all this stuff didn't really exist. Well, PayPal did, but I took checks. And then, because I would go to the mailbox every day, which I do not recommend, but you can take payment a million ways. And then today at noon, we had the whole session about the debit card system. You can use the debit card system without a website. The way that it's set up now, you just have a link to the checkout page. So it's very simple. And yeah. Okay, good. All right. So Linda wants to know, so she has a sort of a double question. How did you find these online networking groups, and are most networking groups online legit? Is there a way to tell? How did you guys find your online networking groups? I mean, I recommend some, and so do the other students.
Through referrals.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say through referrals, like the people in our group, in our class, they've been networking before, and they can provide information about groups that they've networked in, and so that's how you can know if it's legit or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I found out about the couple networking groups that I've been to.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I found out as well.
When Belinda mentioned networking in one of our classes times together, it freaked me out. I could not imagine getting online, and I'm an extrovert. So I went to a Christian women's group off of Alignable because I just thought, okay, these will be nice. This is good, safe, right? Lovely, lovely group. That branched off to another group, and then one of you were saying, it's about relationships. You're just meeting people. You're building relationships. You can tell like who you kind of can trust or whatever. And now I'm in my first paid networking group. You'll learn about those. And it's probably the only one I'll do for a while because it's somewhat local. I could go to an in-person event about an hour and a half away if I wanted, but they also provide Zoom. So I feel kind of local. They feel like I'm a little bit more local. And so the paid ones, obviously, I had to meet with different people several times to see if that was something I wanted to invest in. So yeah, really easy to find networking. Alignable, LinkedIn. Any other groups that you girls use?
Happy Neighborhood Project. I've
Happy
heard that
Neighborhood.
one. Yeah.
I've used that one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I love Alignable though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody loves that. The thing to remember, so a couple of things. One, let's see if I can do this. Let's see how cool I am. All right. So Okay, right here. If you want to know more about networking, you can go to this URL. I just finished writing this like around Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's a 32-page guide all about how to network. If you're an introvert or not, it's all in there. There's mindset, all the things. And there's also a list of groups. And the thing about networking to really remember is that every group's not for everybody. And if you go to a group and you don't like it, it doesn't mean networking in general is not going to work for you. It just means those weren't your people, right? And you just go find some different people. And there's definitely been groups that I've gone to that I thought, these are not my people. People with jobs are not my people because I want to hang out with fellow, entrepreneurs, and people with jobs are not going to hire me, 99 out of, 100 times. So you just have to keep at it and you'll get more comfortable. And I haven't told the story here, but I actually quit a job, a really well-paying job, because they promoted me to chapter director of a nonprofit. And they wanted me to network. And I was like, I'm out of here. And so I got a different job. And, but later I saw the value in it and I figured it out. I learned how to do it. And so there you go.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So keep your questions coming. All right. Keep your questions coming. Just looking to see. Okay. All right. So, all right. Let me look at my questions. So let's talk about how clients treat you, and let's talk about boundaries, because I know sometimes, people have sort of PTSD. They've had a really bad boss or a bad experience, or, they are afraid because they've had a corporate job that they have to be on call 24/7. So tell us all a little bit about how do your clients give you the work? How do you correspond? Like, what is the sort of flow of your day? And do you ever feel like pressure to perform right in the minute?
I'll go.
Okay.
So I find it best to, communicate with my clients through email. During the onboarding process, I do set the expectations of what communications would look like and make sure that it's something that works for both of us. So email is my preferred mode of communication, unless, stated otherwise because of whatever else is going on. And I try to work around that, right? But setting those boundaries are important, and you need to let your clients know that you're not going to be responding to a text message at midnight about, how that is broken or whatever is going on. So if you set your working hours, 8 to 5 or 10 to 6, make sure you stick within those boundaries, and it makes your life so much easier. Because if you do it for one client, then it's more than likely going to happen that you'll do it for another client, and then things just become chaotic. So you have to, keep your boundaries in place for that when it comes to those working relationships. And I find that you have a better working relationship, with your clients that way.
Mm-hmm.
Who else wants to go?
I'll sum it up. That was it. Oh, I was just saying she really summed it up. That's if you just set that expectation ahead of time. Email for sure. I did have a client that was texting me a lot, and I finally just had to, send her another email that said, "Hey, Kit, we've got to stick with email because." And I think Belinda, you put it in words that said, "Information in my text gets lost, and it doesn't fall into my workflow." It can all sound very professional and kind, but I've had everybody follow that very nicely.
That's great. So let's talk about discovery calls. So discovery calls it's a jargon. It's a phrase that VAs use that means the call that you have with a prospective client to decide if you're going to work together. Can you tell everyone a little bit about your experiences? I know the first time we do it, or maybe the first 10 times we do it, it's scary, right? But how does that go? And what kinds of things do people ask you? And here's one. What was the thing you were afraid that someone was going to ask you that never even came up? Because I know a lot of people, and take a minute, I'm springing these questions on them out of the blue.
Okay, so I'll start. So I've done a lot of the discovery calls, and when I first started doing them, I was nervous and horrified of any question they might ask. But again, it almost becomes like networking. Is you're just talking to find out about their business, and then find out what they are looking for in the way of what help they need. And so I learned over time, hashtag stop talking. It's still a challenge, as you can well imagine. But if I don't ask too many questions, I find that they're willing to give me all the information that I need, because they're calling for a reason. They need something. And then I've grown more comfortable in answering questions about things that I don't necessarily have experience doing. And so I have a lot of work. And so it's really comfortable for me to say, I haven't done that, but I do think that that's something I could learn how to do. And so that's kind of where I go with it. I actually have told people, that is not something that I do. Let me refer you to a couple of people that I know that would be excellent at that.
So how do they respond to that? Like when you say, I'm willing to learn, what's their response?
Oh my gosh, I am amazed. The few times that they've said, okay, let's give it a try. And I've said, well, I'm very giving in my time. And I'll say, let me just look at the app and look through it. And they'll say, oh, but you need to bill me for that. I mean, these are my people, right? You're going to meet your people. And I've gotten off the phone with people that they don't call again, and I don't feel bad about it. And that just wasn't my people. I've offered them what I have to offer, and that's fine. But if they say, yes, let's give it a try, that's your people. They're willing to let you give that a try, and they want to be fair with you. Certainly if you got in a position where they weren't paying you for your time, that's different. But I have not had that. I've had several clients say, oh, you need to charge me for the time you're learning this new app, because it's an app that's specific to the work that they do. They understand not everybody's an architect, not everybody's a CPA. Yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to go next? Talking about discovery calls.
I'll go. Shemaine, you can go. Okay, I'll go. The discovery calls, I've never had a question asked on a call that I didn't want asked. I did have an email, somebody that I was trying to get on a discovery call, and they asked me the dreaded question of how long is it going to take you to do this? And I didn't know how to answer. I answered the way I thought I was supposed to, the way we were taught, and she never wrote me back. So I may have messed that one up, but I feel like that's what's so important about actually getting them on a call, like face to face, is so that they can see your expressions and you can see theirs, and it's just, that's really important. And so but the hardest question I've had is always the price. I always feel like I have to over explain, and so I've just learned to say, this is what I charge, and stop talking. Mm-hmm. Learn the stop talking hashtag, because that is the most important hashtag you will ever learn, I think. And it works well. It works well. If they don't like your price, it's like Angela said, they're not your people. So,
I was going to I'm looking to maybe increase my team soon. And I was talking with a gal, and I was just excited because we had a lot in common, and she's from further east than I am. I'm on the West Coast. And so we got kind of down to brass tacks, and she charged $75 an hour. And I'm not her people, right? I'll get there. But that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Price is, and she had no qualms, 75, no problem. So it's just all over the board. And I just have such confidence in my price now, obviously, because you build it over time. But I sure didn't when I was charging 20. I thought, oh my gosh, no one's ever going to pay this. Yeah. Be confident in your price. You got it.
Who's next?
Oh, okay. I'll go. So in my discovery calls, I've never had anyone ask me for a portfolio. And that was one of the things that, I thought about. It's like, And I heard people talking about it too. It's like, do you have a portfolio? But I never had someone ask me during that. So it's not something that you need to worry about, honestly. With all the fears that I had about them asking me for it, it's like out the window. It's not necessary. You don't need it. Start from where you're at, right? And besides, like most of the work that we do as virtual assistants, it doesn't even require a portfolio, right? How do you put calendar management in a portfolio? Right? So, and that was one of the things that never got asked, but I did worry about it. So it's like all that worrying was for nothing, nothing, right? So it's something to keep
Yeah.
in mind.
That's great. How about you, Amy?
Yeah. Um, my first discovery calls, I was pretty nervous, and any question I was afraid of, but they have all gone really well. The pricing was an issue with a couple of people, but then the ones that didn't have a problem with it, those were my people. So I really haven't had any problems with discovery calls at all. They've gone quite well.
That's awesome. That's great. So I've got two more questions, and you guys in the audience, please keep the questions coming because it's helping me to know what what you want to hear about. So two questions that I love. One of them is what industries are you working on, and what kinds of work do you do for your clients? Like what's the actual nuts and bolts of what you do? Because it's hard to wrap our heads around that, right? Yeah. So who wants to jump in first?
I can go. I've got a social media strategist, and so I've done some social media for her, some spreadsheets, some document conversion. What else? I'm doing email newsletters for her and also doing a workbook in Canva. So I've had a variety of things that I've gotten to do with her. It's been a lot of fun. And I've gotten a new client, and I will probably be doing some Canva graphics. And he is, what is it? He's a business coach for executives.
Mhm.
And um, I'm really looking forward to working with him because he's got some things I'm going to look forward to doing as well. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's great. Right. Yeah. So when you say document conversion, what do you mean by that? What are you converting
She
them from to?
she had she had a PDF file that had multiple pages, and she wanted me to divide each page into its own PDF. And then also she wanted it in that version, but she also wanted each one in a photo file as well, like a JPEG or something.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, that's awesome. And can you see like everybody on this call could figure that out, right? How to do that? It tends to be simple stuff. That's great. That's great. And Canva, VAs love Canva. If you don't know what it is, don't worry. I made $1 million and I can't use it, so I have no idea how it works. But that's great. Who wants to jump in? So what industries are you working with? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I started doing a lot of email management. So my first few clients, I would log into their email, unsubscribe, clean it out, and then for one of my main clients, I actually make a spreadsheet of all the important emails he needs to get back to. So I work with CPAs and an attorney, some small business entrepreneurs, and then I also work for some preschools, which is super fun. So when you talk about documents, one of my clients, she had everything that she would just hard copy, photocopy out to all their new parents, and so we converted everything from PDF to editable digital documents that could then be sent to parents. And we found an app that they could use. So I researched apps that preschools use, and they picked one, and we got everybody onboarded, which led to me now onboarding all of their new teachers. So I, in Canva, created an onboarding presentation, and I meet with all of her new employees and go through all the requirements for New Jersey. They're in New Jersey. And then I do some social media. I don't do a lot of it. I'm trying to get away from it, but people really want, that's one thing. If you can do some social media, you'll have all the clients you need. It seems to be something.
So what do you do? Do you write it or post it, or what are you doing with the social media?
They generally, my clients will send me the content, and then I'll create something for the content in Canva. And then I will, if they have Facebook Business, then we'll go in and actually schedule it through Facebook Business. One of my clients doesn't have a business account, so I'll actually go in certain days a week and post for her. But mostly it's I don't create content. I take their content and then create something from it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say I've done the same thing as well, using Canva. I love that Amy brought up Canva, because who doesn't love Canva?
Right.
Yeah, but
I didn't like it at first.
cleaning up inbox as well. There was one with 8,000 emails in there. Get it all organized, and it can vary. I wrote a bio for a client as well, and that went well. So it varies, and it's fun. It's very exciting because it's something. It's almost always something new that you have to do, and that's what keeps it so exciting. So when I tell people that I enjoy what I do, that's part of the reason why. It's always new, right? And there's so many softwares and tools that come out that you have to learn, and you look forward to learning those things and teaching your client. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. So yeah, I enjoy doing those things.
Now, Shemaine, at the same time, so some people don't love things being new all the time. I have a couple of clients I've been with for years, and one of them, I'm actually considered his office manager. And I love the aspect where I get on my computer, I do all the things for his office that I need to do, and I turn that client off and I move to the next one. So sometimes I also enjoy the sameness of doing those tasks every day and knowing what you're doing. And so it's a little of both, maybe.
Right. I agree. Yes. I agree, Angela.
Yeah.
You want to jump in, Maritza?
Sure. I've done some social media, and someone recently just asked me to help with her social media. I have a client that I'm doing invoices for in QuickBooks. I do all her invoices once a month in QuickBooks. I have another one that wants me to do his billing for. He's a property manager and has several properties that he runs, so manages, and wants me to do the billing for all of those properties. And I've been asked to do a construction proposal in Canva. So I love Canva. I am a Canva lover, and I admit it, and I'm proud. And currently not getting paid for this one, but doing all of the social media and website and everything for the farm and the ministry. And that's because I'm married to him. So I'm part. But yeah, I've learned all of this in VA school. So, you know.
That's awesome. So here's a question. How many of you are working with people you know or friends you know who referred them to you? So are you working with friends or beyond?
Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
My first two clients, though, came to me from a friend referral. You know, so that's wonderful, but that's not I don't think that's going to be the norm. Do you, Belinda? I don't know.
No, it's really going to be networking, creating those business professional relationships. That's going to be a lot of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. All right. So Katie Lynn has a multi-part question. Okay. All right. So I'll read the whole thing and then we'll dive into it. All right. Do you all offer an hourly rate or a monthly package? Do you offer a monthly package? How do you handle the pricing the hours? Whoops, it just jumped. Pricing the hours if you go over the monthly packages. What if you don't set an amount of monthly? Okay. All right. So I love this question and I'll tell you why. It's much simpler than that, right? And you don't want to complicate it at all. You want to keep the way that you work easy peasy and very simple. So who wants to talk about how you guys all charge? Who wants to jump into that?
You guys are slow on the uptake. Come on, you know I would jump in.
You're the extrovert. Go for
it. We charge by a debit card, I'm guessing. Are we all in the same boat?
Yes.
So we offer 10-hour, 5-hour, and hourly debits. Generally $10 apart, but that can be whatever you decide. But our clients' pre-purchase time And then we email clients. I email them every Monday morning to tell them how much time they have left on their debit card. And when that gets low, then they purchase another debit card.
Mhm.
Easy. I love it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what kind of work you're doing, it's
Right.
all the same. And so that way you just
Yeah.
take all the complexity out. That's what kills business, complexity,
Yeah.
right? That's what kills business. Julie, oh, wait, hold on. I lost my path. So someone's asking, what's your most requested task? Is there one thing people ask for over and over? I have a feeling she's asking because people ask this because maybe she wants to learn something, you know, and have it be what a lot of people need. So have you, I never really experienced that. I experienced that with email newsletters. That's where most
Yeah.
people, I had repetitive work, but what about you guys? Is there a pattern showing up?
I seem to keep getting people wanting social media and billing, invoicing, that
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
Email.
Yeah, social media, I say, is a big one. I get asked
Yes.
about that even during discovery calls. It's
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
networking groups. So
Yeah. So-
I would say that one. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. All right. So here's a question from Kathy. Okay, so let me read it and then I'll put a little subtext. Does using the 3 skills feel like you're limiting your offers when you first meet someone via networking, aka your elevator pitch? So, I'm a virtual assistant I work with. So if you would talk about that, like how you know what I'm talking about, right? How do you use that when you meet people, and how did you pick the 3 things, and what are people's response to you saying those words?
I can go. I don't think it's limiting at all when you're speaking to someone because we go back to the networking and the relationship marketing. When you first meet someone, it's not about selling your business as much as it's getting to know them. And so, in getting to know someone, how you connect with that person in that chat or in that moment when you're first meeting them, that's what makes or breaks your relationship. Like, let's connect outside of this, and then they schedule a call, like a 30-minute coffee date or whatever. It's not even a discovery call necessarily. It's just time to get to know each other better, and in that 30 minutes or however long it is, you have the ability to talk more about your business, so you can share more. You can send your website, you can send your services page so that they see all that you have to offer. And a lot of times, in that moment, you can ask the questions like, what is it that you need in your business? Like, what is it you struggle with, so that you could say, I can help you with this or whatever. Some of the same things you would say in a discovery call. But when you're first giving the elevator speech, it doesn't have to be, a super long sentence with all of your offerings. I think just the 3 is enough.
Anyone else want to speak to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think those 3 things are just like a snippet of being under the umbrella of admin, right? Because you want to keep it simple and you want to give them 3 things that most people could relate to and understand, as opposed to using something like, I'm a virtual assistant and I do business solutions. Like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So if you put 3 simple things that they can understand, like PowerPoint is one of them. Belinda always says, everyone understands what PowerPoint is. So I think that's the purpose of having those 3 things. Just find those 3 simple things that you can do and people can immediately relate to. But it still falls under the umbrella of admin. So it's not the only 3 things you can do. But yeah, it's some of the 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Amy and Angela, you want to jump in? Let me ask you this. When you say it, does it sound fake in your head? Because it sounds fake in my head, but people don't really experience it
Yeah.
like that, right?
Right. It does seem that way, but they're not thinking of it that way.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so let's see. All right, so Julie has a question I'm going to answer. Can you offer more than 5 or 10 hours on your debit card, i.e. 20 or 30? I have only done that once. I do not recommend it because I did not love working with this person. Now we're like practically married. So it worked out, but I was just like, oh no, he actually bought 50 hours. He wanted to buy 100. And it was the end of the year. He's very successful. He had a bunch of money and he wanted to not pay taxes on it. And I was like, okay. So he bought 50 hours. And yeah, I don't recommend that. Have any of you tried like, more hours, or do you stick with the 5 and 10?
I have stuck with all the 10 for everyone. I have one exception. One of my primary clients, who I am the office manager, he would have to buy 4 or 5 cards a month, and he asked me if I would, because I was invoicing people prior to VA school, and he asked me if I would mind going back to invoicing, and I absolutely made that exception for him. He's been with me for all these years. So that's my one exception, but he does pay the $45 per hour. That's the only reason I made that exception. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Once you get to know someone, you can make exceptions, but when you go in, and I did that particular person was the last person I let hire me as a virtual assistant. And it's just it's like, okay, there's one more lesson for you to learn out here. Don't let somebody hire you for 50 hours that you're not sure you want to be with. Okay, that's great. That's great. All right, here's a question. How has your quality of work/life balance improved since becoming a VA?
I love being at home. I with very little notice. In fact, Belinda would encourage you not to give too much notice if you're going to be away. With a very little notice, I can, take my son to an appointment, or I can do the things I want to do. I mean, I actually have scheduled in my calendar dog walk, so that every single day I have an hour midday that nobody can schedule my time. But I also don't feel guilty or anything for letting clients know, hey, I'm going to be out next Monday all day. If you need anything, get it to me ahead of time. Just the absolute flexibility of doing what I want, but still having money coming in on a regular basis. I'm ecstatic. I love it.
Who else? I'd love to hear from all of you on this. How has your work-life balance changed?
It has been awesome. Yeah, I always say that, and I say it a lot to my husband as well, because he knows what I've been through from my previous work life. Just what Angela said, the flexibility, and for you being able to have options. And you actually calculate that you provided a great tool of, how you can decide how much money you want to charge and how many days you want to work, how many billable hours you want to make each week. So from using that tool, that would determine your work-life balance. How much do you want to work, or how little do you want to work? And I really love that tool, because that tool helped me to decide, okay, I just want to work X amount of hours this week. I want to have 4 weeks off in a year and still make my goal, right? So using that tool was very awesome. And I think that's the beauty of it. You get to decide how much you want to make and how many hours you want to bill each week or each month, each year.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I never thought about that in that way. That was a great insight. Thank you. Yeah, Amy.
Yeah, I have aging parents, and so I'm able to block off time to take them to appointments or go see them. My husband works at home, and our son lives at home and commutes to college, so they're here, and it's just nice to be able to be at home and not have to go into a corporate job. I can't imagine doing that. My schedule is flexible, and I'm in control of my schedule completely.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What about you, Maritza? Because you're working a full-time job, and so you're probably looking forward to this new work-life balance, right?
Absolutely. I work a 40-hour week at a corporate job. And so when I meet with somebody, I have to make sure to let them know that I am only available after 5, Monday through Friday, and on Saturday from like 9 to 4 or 9 to 5. And I'm off on Sunday because I need to take a day off. And I make myself actually do that. I make myself take the day off. Otherwise, I'm working nonstop. So work-life balance is a little bit difficult. I have forced myself to stop working at a certain time. Like I try to work from 5:30 to like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and then I force myself to stop, which often I don't, because there's a lot to do, but I force myself to stop because I need the rest. So some of this is you're learning as you go. You're learning that you need to take care of yourself too. It's not all about work.
Yeah.
But I am excited about the day I can leave my 9 to 5 and do this during the day, so that I can, or just have the flexibility to work whenever, but have more time to manage my hours.
That's great.
Get there.
Yeah. It is nice to be able, we all have such a corporate or job mindset. Like, it's just so ingrained in us. And even last week, so Greg was going to drive to Virginia to bring some stuff to the house. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, I said, I'm going to go buy your sandwiches from the deli because I want to get there before all the sandwich, all the sandwiches are picked over. And I just got in my car and I'm like, I'm out in the world, and it's just so great to think, and that's okay. It's really nice. Yeah, that's really nice. So we have a few more minutes left. I know there are a couple of questions that we didn't get to. At 7 o'clock tonight Eastern, I'm going to give a campus tour on Zoom, so we can all be together, and bring your questions there. I think we hit we definitely hit, I think, the biggest questions that were repeated over and over. So thank you for posting those in the comments. And I'd like to just wrap up by going around the room, and what are there words that you'd like to say in closing, as we wrap up, for the people who are thinking about really making a big change in their life, and a change for the better?
I thought about this question. You had mentioned it to us, and it really made me think of when I decided to be home with my first son. And, finances were very tight. And that was a really personal decision that was important to us. And so we made it work. And so when I first decided to quit, in fact, when I first decided to quit my job and start being the VA, it was that important. It was that important to me. And so it has to be important enough to you to make the sacrifices, to put into it, and trust the process. Trust that the money you invest in yourself and in your business will come back to you. It takes a lot of trust and work, but it has to be really important to you, I think, is what got me really rolling. Yeah.
That's great. Maritza, you want to go next?
Sure. I had all this stuff written down, but I'm not going to read it. I'm gonna say it. One of the things that worried me, I think, is because there's so many things online about, invest in this and you'll get this, and invest in that and you'll get that, And so one of my concerns was, is it a scam? You're going to pay all this money for a school, and then you're going to learn nothing, and it's just not going to work. And I can tell you that it's not. I know you don't know me, but I am a person that was concerned about that, and I invested, and prayerfully, and talked to my husband about it, and we made the decision. And it came after 5 days of a Kickstart challenge that was phenomenal. And so I made the investment, and it's hard work. You have to put the time in, like Angela said, put the work in. Have the desire to want to do it and not give up. And I believe you will be successful. So I just want to leave you with that encouragement.
Yeah.
All right, Amy, you want to jump in?
Sure. Like Maritza, it was a big investment for me, and it really wasn't in the budget, but I felt that this was the right thing for us to do. My husband and I talked about it, and he felt the same. And it has been so much more than I imagined. The help that we get through Belinda and through the community is just amazing. And I just would not have been able to do this without it. And it was an investment, and it was a chance that we took, because like Maritza said, I was worried that it was, not what I thought it was, because there are so many things out there. I was doing a proofreading course that I never even saw the owner. I never even, it was just completely self-paced. and I wasn't really happy with it. But this has been an amazing journey, an amazing, it does take a lot of work. You have to be prepared to put that work in. Sometimes you want to quit. You don't want to keep going because you just are frustrated or things happen, but you just keep doing it, keep doing what Belinda says, and it works. It truly does work.
Yeah.
Belinda, as you will not be surprised, I have a 2 o'clock. I have to sign out.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Angela. You're awesome. She's so successful. She has to leave. That's great. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, Shemaine.
Yes, I would say just do it. Do it. Stop putting things off. If you've been thinking about it for a while, just go ahead and do it. We make time for the things that are important to us.
Yeah.
And if this is something that you want to take on, it's going to change your life, change your family, go ahead and do it. Just make the step. It's important to invest in ourselves. And, I always hear there are two things that you need to think about, or there are two forms of education, the one you're given and the one you give yourself, right? The latter is more important, right? Still need to keep educating yourself, especially if you want to be in the world of entrepreneurship. And finding a good coach and mentor is of utmost importance, I feel, especially if you want to learn the ways and eliminate the guesswork. And that's where Belinda comes into play. She has done the groundwork for us. She's laid out all the tools that we need, all the templates, and she is still in the community helping you with any sort of problems you have. And there is, so many experts in that group as well that can definitely help you with, any client problems or questions that you may have. So that's my 2 cents. It's just do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. Find a way to do it.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, this was amazing. Thank you so much. I want those of you watching to know that I think it was Thursday, I sent one email to all of these wonderful women and I asked them, would you consider doing this? And I almost got whiplash because they all answered so fast. They were thrilled to come here and because they've been where you are, trying to figure this out and it's scary. And, yeah, so a big thank you to all of you and Angela, who is now out there making money right now, and, for doing this, for participating, and for really giving to the people who are trying to figure this out. I really appreciate your transparency and your caring. So thank you. And for everyone who's watching, join me tonight at 7:00 Eastern on Zoom. I'm going to actually show you VA School. I'm going to show you inside the course. I'm going to show you the replays. I'm going to show you some of the templates so you can see this is a real thing, Yeah, and someone says, I'm so generous of you to share your time today, especially since Belinda has helped you get busy with your business. Yeah, good. All right, everybody, I'll see you in a little bit. Bye for now.
Bye.